What is up, Safuu community? Nathan B here, back with another video. This time, I'm going to show you how to deploy Linux from the Azure Marketplace in 2 clicks using my GitHub repository. So yeah, sit back and enjoy. Let's have a look at one thing in the white paper before we get started deploying a Linux VM in Azure. So from the SafuuX.com website, we have this white paper link and it brings you to the requirements. Most of you would have seen that this is for full nodes, as we have 500 there, but it talks about the operating system being Mac OS and Linux. Okay, so now I'm going to focus this video on deploying Linux, but if you look at some of these requirements here, this one is what I believe. I don't know, but it looks like a mistake to me because that's not possible to get that much upload and download speed in Azure. Even some of the really powerful virtual machine deployments, like the high-end deployments, so I think that's going to be, instead of gigabytes, it's going to be megabytes. And the reason I say that is if I compare it, I found this, which is the Binance Smart Chain requirements. So if I go down here and look at the suggested requirements for a full node on Binance, you can see the same sort of thing. It looks very similar to the SafuuX white paper. Mac OS Linux, instead of 500 terabytes SSD solid state drive, this is 1 terabyte. 8 cores. We had 4, I think it was 8 gig of physical memory. And you can see here, well, I zoomed out there, but this says 5 meg instead of 8 gig. So that's another reason. All right, so I just wanted to show you that, and yeah, move on to the actual goal of this video, which is to do a Linux deployment. All right, what I did is I have this GitHub repository that I created previously in another video, the Windows deployment, and I just added onto it. I added a Linux flavor to it. Okay, so if I just move this down, you can see that the top one here is, I'm going to leave that there. There's no reason to delete it because as far as I understand, I haven't had it confirmed that in testnet, like a full node or a light node won't support a Windows, but so far that is the case. But anyway, what I did is I added on this deploy a Linux SafuuX node, full or light, in your existing Azure subscription. Okay, now same deal. What you're going to do is you're going to come into this link here. I'll put this in the description. And for a Linux, you're just going to click on deploy to Azure. Okay, the same thing as we did before with just deploying a Windows image. Now, this should then go straight over to my SafuuX subscription that I have running, that I've been doing in a lot of my videos, and I'm just going to jump across to see what it looks like. I have only one virtual machine in here that I've been using for a lot of my demos. Okay, so if I then go across to the right here, oops, you can see that it's just running Windows for the operating system. Okay, and we'll do a compare once I deploy the Linux image. Now here, I believe I still have the same SafuuX resource group that I created for you. I'm not going to go through creating the subscription because watch the other video to do that, the start of the other video, and then come back to this one. But you're just gonna create a new subscription, and then you're going to create your region. Okay. Virtual node. I'm just going to leave it for the name of the actual Linux instance, and I'm going to use the same as I've been using, which for the username, which is just node admin. I'm going to use a password here. So I'm going to enter that. Okay. The version of Linux that we are deploying here is going to be this one. So this version of Linux is actually the server. This image is actually the server version of Ubuntu. Okay, there is a desktop version, but for now, I think the server Linux image is the best one to do. If not, I'll change that up. But let's go with the server version of Ubuntu. All this should be the same. This is the same VM size, which gives you that $70 per month, approximately. All the rest you should be able to leave. So then we come across here, very similar thing. And this is our second click, just creating and deploying it. Okay, so my deployment is in progress now, and I will come back when it is finished. Okay, my deployment is done. I'm going to jump across to virtual machines here, and I should see my second one. Okay, so I showed you the first one there, which was Windows, and let me zoom in on this. Yep, so you can see that the SafuuX node virtual machine name, that was the original one that was the one we just left by default from my deployment image. You can see it's running, and here's the thing. Now you can see that it's actually showing that the operating system here is Linux. And you can see here that I have the same size VMs, which is the 2 virtual CPU, 4 gig of physical memory, and it's going to be a premium disk as well, which is important for our SLA. On another previous video I talked about. Now, and then you can see if I just scroll across here, yep, there's the new public IP. Okay, now as I mentioned before, this version of Linux is a server version, but also it's headless. So there's no user interface like in Windows when we log on. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. But again, I'll go through this a little slowly, and you can pause and rewind and take your time with it. But so what we're going to do is, because it's headless, we've got to install some tools on it to connect to it. Okay. Now, the first thing, what you want to do is you want to download this tool set called PuTTY. Now, PuTTY is just a free tool that we can download on our Windows, and I believe Mac as well. All right, so here's the Windows installer here. So you're going to grab this one here. I'll put this URL, or I'll put this website in the description. Once you install this MSI package here, it is going to give you this. Okay. Now I'm going to run PuTTY here. Okay, and I'm going to dump in my information, and then I'll zoom in and talk about what is going on. So you're going to need to come back to your image running in Azure, and you're going to need to copy this public IP for the Linux install. Okay, so I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to paste that in here. All right, and that's all we really need to do. So we're going to leave it as, I'll just zoom in here. Yeah, so we've got our we've got our IP address, which is the virtual machine public IP address running in Azure, and the port 22 rather is for SSH for default, and that's just a connection type and a protocol, so don't worry too much about that, but leave it like that. And then you're going to want to click on open. Okay. There's going to be a message here about a security alert. Just click on accept to that. Now, I will make this a little larger so you can see this. Change settings, and then it is appearance, and I will change the font here to, maybe I'll double it to 20 so you can see it. Apply that. Okay, that should come through a little bit better. So we're logged on to this PuTTY tool that we've downloaded and installed on our Windows client, and I'm going to add my username, so who I'm logging on as. Okay, it's going to ask me the password that I previously entered. All right. Now, you can see it saying, hey, welcome to Ubuntu, and the version, that all looks good. LTS is the long-term service branch of it, which is all looking good. So that's what it should look like. Now, I'm logged on, and I'm just going to clear this screen by typing in clear, so it just makes a little better on the visualization piece for what we're doing now. Right, so essentially we've deployed that Linux virtual machine. We can log on to it with this PuTTY tool, and once the software comes out for the SafuuX, for the SafuuX nodes, the full nodes or light nodes, I believe that this is where you will be doing a lot of the installing, and there'll be instructions and steps to do that. And I will show you here as an example, if I go back to that Binance website that I showed you before, it talks about here how to set it up. So just, here we go. So steps to run a full node, okay? So as you can see here, there's instructions on what to do, and to me this looks like, either that PuTTY tool or something else that they're connecting to the Linux instance and running some things. So my point here is just that there's going to be steps from the SafuuX developers on what to do next, how to install the software. So at this point, I think that we've deployed our Linux instance. You can use that GitHub repository. It's really two clicks. As I showed you, you go to the GitHub, you click on deploy, and then you come and fill in a little bit of information, and then click on create, and you're good to go. The last piece I will show you in this video is, I would be doing this, and I created these, is just running a couple of commands within, once you've logged on, is I would be running this, okay? And what this is doing is it's just going out and it's upgrading that deployment that you just deployed to the latest software, okay? Okay, and then I'm going to run this one, so you can just follow along. I'll put the commands in the detail of the description below. Okay, I think I'm just going to try and run this one once more time. I may put the order wrong there. Okay, yeah, it's the other way around. So you're going to want to run the ATP update, and then after that the APT upgrade. Yes, forcing it. Okay, so let's test this again. Yeah, everything is up to date. Okay, so let me clear the screen there. So yeah, we're we're updated. We have our Linux machine running. Okay, folks, that is it. That is deploying Linux operating system in Azure in 2 clicks. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.